What's up, yogis? Namaste and welcome to another hour of yin and yang. Hallie will be demonstrating, and yes, we coordinated our outfits again today. So if you're not wearing navy blue and black, turn off the camera or computer now. Anyways, let's get started. We will start off in child's pose. So just sitting towards the back of your mat. Bring the tops of the feet, the shins and knees down. Big toes can touch. You can open the knees if comfortable with it or have them together. Arms extend forward or down the sides of your body. And as yogis, we kind of develop this habit, or not develop, we just kind of fall into our usual habit per se of sticking with what feels good or comfortable, that comes easy to us. So as yogis, generally, we fall into our flexibility because it feels good. We don't have to approach any resistance or face any of that tightness or tension. We can just sit. It feels nice. But that's not the point of yoga or even the practice of asana. Right? Instead, as we go through the next 60 minutes, I want you to try to actually do things that make you feel a little uncomfortable. And that doesn't mean try and push yourself to the limits where your body isn't ready to go. It really just means try to find a place that challenges you not only physically but mentally as we get into the yin emotionally, and then sit with it. Breathe through it and build upon your strength to get through that. Facing the discomfort. So if you have one particular way that you go about child's pose every single class, I'm going to ask you to do something different. Because generally, we fall into the repetition of doing the same thing because it's easy, because it feels good. So find something that you actually find a little bit of maybe resistance, or you feel an extra tightness and tension. And then once you land in that, just close your eyes. Maybe begin to pinpoint the particular areas in your body that are giving you more feedback than usual. And then with your mind, focus on that particular part of your body. And in this pose, it could be the feet, your knees, your hips, lower back, somewhere in the shoulders or the neck. But pinpoint one, maybe the one that's speaking the loudest. And then keeping your mind focused on that particular part of the body, let's let go of a nice long exhale. And then take a deep inhale through your nose. Send that breath to the hook of your tailbone. Feel your ribs expand out horizontally. Maybe feel to the brim of your throat. And then open up your mouth and audibly let it go. Let's take another long, slow, deep inhale through the nose, holding your breath at the top. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. And then open up the mouth and just sigh it out. One more deep inhale through the nose to hold. Keeping the lips sealed, you're going to go ahead and slowly exhale out the nose. And then just breathe in and out your nose. As slowly and as deeply as you can. And once those breaths become even, continue those deep breaths, but take your mind back to that part in your body that is a little bit more cranky than the others. And just begin to feel the effect of every inhale and every exhale. Maybe the tension builds as you inhale, but then hopefully softens and releases as you exhale. And then for the next 60 minutes, this is really a tool I want you to try to use from pose to pose. But the first thing we tend to do, we have to first focus on the body because it's concrete. And then we have to notice the breath. And once we regain control of the breath, then we take our mind back to feeding the body. So if you're with me, let's go ahead and inhale, extend the arms long to the front of the mat. Open your hands up, shoulders distance apart, spread your fingers nice and wide. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, downward dog. We'll lift the hips, tuck the toes, press the heels towards the earth. So feel free to pedal out your feet, maybe come up and down on your toes a few times. Get past any fidgeting you need to take. Do take a quick look at the hands. Make sure your hands do jet straight out from your shoulders. Ideally, it's your index and middle finger that point straight forward, but if you're sensitive in the wrists or super tight in your shoulders, you can turn the hands a little further out. But as you relax your head and neck, just look back at the feet. Let them rest hips distance apart. Make your heels spin back and just slightly out so they disappear behind your toes. And then even if you have to bend the knees, especially first downward dog of the class, I want you to think of lifting the hip creases straight up to the sky as you hook the tailbone towards the wall that you're looking at. Knit the front ribs and sternum bone in so you give the thoracic spine the same amount of space. Pull the belly tight. Keep the length of your spine, the height of your hips, and just begin to play with pushing the tops of your thighs straight back to help anchor your heels down. And then notice how much you're having to push into your feet. We want to try to do that in the hands as well. So lift just your fingertips up off the mat, grounding down to the whole circumference of your palm, and then spread your fingers wide with each knuckle ending with your fingertips. Now the hands pushing down, you want to feel the energy shooting up the arms, lifting the chest more towards the hips rather than sinking it towards the earth. Wrap the triceps back by hugging the shoulder blades out. Think of lifting the forearms forward. That'll help plant the inner edge of your hands. And then with an inhale, we will come forward. High plank or top of a push-up. Hips level out with the shoulders, heels press back, thighs firm up towards the ceiling. Hips level with the shoulder blades, and you have the slightest tuck to the tailbone, pull your belly in. Press down into the hands again so much that you feel the chest and the back of your head lift. As you create this horseshoe shape in the front of your body, just make sure you're not doming in between the shoulder blades. They hug down your back. Crown of the head lengthens forward. Take a deep inhale, and as if I had a rope tied around your hips, exhale, pull them up and back, downward dog. Inhale, come forward, high plank. Pause. We'll lift the right foot about an inch up off the ground. You maybe can stack 8/4 between your big toe and the mat. It's funny how on the yoga mat our ability to measure is completely lost. So check in with the back foot, flex the heel, then make sure you lift the back of your head. Lift the right hip level with the left and pull the belly tight. Breathe. And then go ahead and set your right foot down. Lift your left foot up just an inch. If you have to look back to make sure you didn't lift it 8, do it, but then make sure you lift the back of your head up and look more forward. Press both heels back, firm both thighs, pull the lower belly in, press into both palms, and then set your left foot down. Exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. Inhale, come forward, high plank. Again, lifting your right foot up about an inch. Exhale, pull the knee to your left elbow. Inhale, hover the foot straight back. And then exhale to the right elbow. Inhale, hover it straight back. Set the foot down and pause. Lean forward, maybe drop your knees. Exhale, halfway down, but we push back up, high plank. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we inhale to high plank. Lift the left foot up. Hover it just above the mat. Exhale, pull the knee to your right elbow. Inhale, three-legged plank. Exhale to the left elbow. Inhale, hover it back. Set the foot down, lean forward. Exhale, chaturanga push-up. Come back up. And exhale, downward dog. Now let's find a vinyasa. Inhale, come forward, high plank. As you lean forward, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And then exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, we're going to inhale the right leg to the sky, flexing to the heel, leading with the inner thigh, pressing into the palms to create more length from your hand to your heel. Take an inhale. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest, shoulders land at your wrists, pause. Now you're going to hover the foot to three-legged plank. We've been there before. Exhale, knee to the left, elbow. Inhale, three-legged plank, and exhale to the right elbow. Inhale, three-legged plank. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, stretch it up and back, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to chest. Hips stay low, hover the legs straight back. Take it to your left. Hover it straight back. Take it to the right. Hover it straight back. Pull the knee to the chest. And then three-legged dog, lift it up and back. We got one more of those. Exhale, knee to chest. Three-legged plank as you inhale. Exhale to the left. Inhale, shoot it back. Exhale to the right. Inhale, shoot it back. Exhale to the chest. Inhale, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, open your hip. Relax the head and neck. Wrap your outer right rib cage and shoulder down so your torso stays level. And then find the tippy toes of your back foot. Exhale, pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to your right thumb. Plant the left hand and just reach your right arm up to the sky. We'll go straight into a twist. So the left heel you need to push straight back behind your big toe. Energetically, you're lifting your left thigh bone towards the ceiling. And that is going against the weight of your right hip, not only hugging back, but you also want to think of sinking it forward as if that right sit bone were trying to get to the heel. You'll feel your calf push into your shin bone. Left palm is either flat on the floor, a block, or you might be on your 5 fingertips, but roll your left shoulder blade down the back, knit the front ribs together, and the leaning back or the twist is going to come when you learn to lengthen your left side ribs forward and then twist them towards your inner right thigh. Maybe you look up. Take an inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. Pause. Pull your front leg straight. Ish. Just push the weight into your front foot. That's really all you have to do. And then if your leg doesn't go fully straight, don't force it. All you're looking for is a stretch or a release in the back of your leg. And if you're getting both hips to pull up and back, you're scissoring the inner thighs closer together as you press into your right foot and you let your head and neck hang, you will find that release. You will find a stretch. Breathe in and out your nose. And then go ahead and slowly rebend your front knee. Cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra, up dog in your shoulders. High plank in that back leg. You're going to keep everything as it is. Just reach your right arm forward in a handshake fashion. Hug your right hip back. Make more space from your right hip to the fingertips. Pull the belly tight, and without lifting your chest, you're going to try and reach the left arm forward as well. Palms face each other. Left heel drives back, left thigh bone lifts up. Breathe. Take an inhale. As you exhale, you're just going to put the left hand to the mat and then begin to revolve or twist. That right arm is going to reach overhead, taking that twist the same way, just a little further. Press into the palm, roll the shoulder blade down the back. Don't let that back leg get saggy. Energize it, firm it towards the ceiling. Take an inhale. Exhale, right hand to the mat. We'll step back. Chaturanga is your exit. Inhale, you bring your back bend. And exhale, guides downward dog. From downward dog, we inhale the left leg to the sky. Flex the heel. Keep the hips neutral. That'll help keep the spine safe throughout all of this. With an exhale, pull the knee to your chest. Shoulders land at your wrist and you're looking forward. Think high plank. And then inhale, three-legged plank, just hover the foot back. Exhale to the right elbow. Inhale, hover it back, and exhale to the left. Inhale, three-legged plank. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, three-legged plank. Exhale to the right. Inhale, shoot it straight back, and exhale to the left. Inhale, hover it back. Exhale, knee to chest. Inhale, kick it up and back, three-legged dog. One more. Exhale, knee to chest. Do the rest on your own. So we go to the right, to the left, all staying in three-legged plank, and then we do have to come back to the chest first, and then we'll meet in three-legged dog, bending the knee and opening the hip. Wrap that outer left shoulder down, relax the head and neck, and then finding the tippy toes of your back foot. Exhale, knee to chest, look forward and step next to your left thumb. Right palm planting on the floor or on a block, reach your left arm up to the sky. Right heel pushes back, right thigh bone lifts. So remember, those hips, you want to feel them as if they were in high plank. Generally, the right hip falls lower than the left, so we lift it up. Left hip hooks back, but then you're drawing the sit bone towards your front heel, pressing into the palms, rolling the shoulder blade down the back, and then colliding your right rib cage forward into it. And then as you hug your front ribs in, twist those bottom ribs towards your inner thigh and maybe look up. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand down. Push into your front foot to slowly straighten the leg. And remember, it could be a little bent, it might be a lot of bent. A forward fold and it's stretching your hamstring has nothing to do with a fully straight leg. It's a concoction we have in our head. So try and get away from it. Just push all the weight into the front foot. Hug your hips up and back. Let your spine fall forward and down. Pull the belly in. And breathe. And then slowly rebend your knee, cup the earth with the fingertips, think cobra, up dog in the shoulders, high plank in that back leg and your hips. You'll just reach your left arm forward in that handshake fashion. You pull the belly tight, knit the ribs even tighter, and maybe reach your right arm forward without lifting the chest, hovering maybe enough that you could put a chapter book in between your chest and your knee. Belly pulls to the spine. You breathe. Back heel stays actively driving through the wall behind you. Maybe lift the arms a little higher. And then you're just going to set your right hand down. As you push into the hand, revolve your left shoulder on top of the right. Find the deeper version of the twist. And then check in with your back leg. It tends to want to go weak, so lift it up. And then use that exercise we did in the beginning. What part of your body is resisting? What part is fighting? What part is finding this very difficult? Now check in with your breathing, slow it down. And once your breath is calm and relaxed, take your mind back to that part in your body and find a little space. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand down. We step back, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Now with an inhale, bend your knees, draw your hips way back and look forward. Exhale, take a giant step, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Now at the same flat back, inhale, circle your arms to the sky, Tadasana. Watch your palms kiss. Exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthiti. Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, arms fall before they rise. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, urdhva mukha. And exhale, adho mukha. From downward dog, we will inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive your arms to the sky. Exhale, pull the hands through heart center. Round two, inhale, circle your arms for the sun. Exhale, bow forward towards the earth. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, chaturanga. Do this one on your own, finishing it off. And then you'll do one more after it. You get to hang in downward dog for a few breaths. Don't rush it. But as you're ready, you'll work your way through one more sun salutation. And don't worry about remembering everything. Try not to look at the screen. Ideally, you even just close your eyes and follow your breath. Every inhale generally is an up and forward motion where we're expanding the lungs. Every exhale is a down and back as they're being slightly compressed. When you're ready and finished, we will meet in downward dog. But again, no rush to get there. From downward dog, we will inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold in. If you have hip problems, lower back issues, having the feet hip distance apart is a nice option. If not, big toes touch, heels separate just a little bit. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Bend the knees, drop your hips, reach up. So the toes can lift, there's nothing wrong with that, but you want to feel the weight push straight down again into the middle of the feet. The knees draw back so you can see your toes, the thighs become heavy, and even though you're working the knees together, it's very important you resist them apart so you could actually slide something in between the knees. Draw the tailbone under, knit the front ribs in. If that makes your chest drop, you need to think of Cobra Up Dog in the shoulders or the spine within the shoulder blades, the thoracic. Wrap your triceps forward. Maybe lift the arms, maybe lift your glance. Take an inhale, press all the way up to standing, grow as tall as you can. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Sun B, because I don't think I've actually had you guys do one in like a year. Inhale, chair pose. Hips go low, arms reach up. Exhale, fold, chest to the knees, hips to the sky. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, chaturanga with stability. A back bend with strength. And downward dog with grace. Inhale the right leg high. As you exhale, kneaded chest, stepping as close to your right thumb as you can. Turn the back heel down. Make sure your back toes turn forward more than halfway so they're more facing the front left-hand corner of your mat. And then reach up, Vira A. So as you ground down to the knife edge of your back foot, you want to think of your back leg like a corkscrew. So your inner left thigh, it wraps back and aiding to the calf wrapping almost forward, grounding through the knife edge of your back foot. That's also going to aid in drawing the hip forward in the left side and wrapping the right hip back. Draw the inner right thigh forward, hook your tailbone under, knit the front ribs together. Get those arms longer by lifting through the spine, maybe even looking up. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, step back. Chaturanga is your exit. Inhale brings the back bend of your choice, and exhale, downward dog. Inhale the left leg high. Exhale, kneaded chest, stepping forward. Back heel turns down, back toes turn forward at about 45 degrees or more. Inhale, rise, Vira A. So remember, inner thighs work away from each other. Inner right thigh wraps back, half wraps slightly forward to ground the outer edge of your foot. Inner left thigh draws forward, knee to ankle, tailbone draws down, front hips lift up. The right side ribs and shoulder wrap forward because your spine can twist much more than your hips can. Because in fact, they cannot. It's just one big bone in there. Extend the arms up out of your waist. Try to soften the top muscles in your shoulders. Maybe even look up. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands down. Step back. Chaturanga or don't. Remember, if these vinyasas ever become too much, you don't have to do them. You might choose to do every other one. You might choose to do them all the time with an extra push-up, or you might just never do them at all, and that's okay. Once you get to downward dog, we'll take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Hold this breath at the very top. Open up the mouth. One more. Deep inhale through the nose to hold. This time, like a lion, stick out your tongue. And just go back to breathing in and out the nose. So with an inhale, let's lift the right leg to the sky. Exhale, pull the knee down and over to your left. Inhale, three-legged dog, and exhale to the left. Inhale, stretch it back, and exhale to the left. On your own, just breath per movement. This time you get that place of three-legged dog in between. If you want to challenge yourself, keep your hips low and just shoot it to three-legged plank. Adding more intensity, more heat. Remember, this is your practice. And then with an inhale, we'll extend the leg up. As you exhale, pull the knee to your chest, look forward and step next to your right thumb. This time staying on your back toes, inhale, crescent pose, we rise. So same as warrior one, but different in the sense that we are on our back toes. The hips are very easily squaring off to the front of the room. If anything, we tend to ducktail in the pelvis or have that Beyonce in the booty. So you need to bend the back knee, draw the tailbone under, bring your pelvis to neutral. Pull the belly tight, work your inner thighs away from each other. Knit the front ribs together. And then as you're ready, pull the hands to heart center. Lean your chest halfway forward, drive your left heel back, and then twist left elbow to the outside of your right knee. So taking our twist a little deeper within the spine, left heel pushes back, left thigh bone lifts, adding that intensity as we have to play with balance. Press into the palms, draw the hands towards heart center. Maybe you open your arms. If not, maybe you work your glance up towards the ceiling. Just taking your twist to a degree where you're not necessarily comfortable, but you're not just resting in the pose. You're being challenged, but mindfully. And then with an inhale, crescent pose, rise back up. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands down. Pause, pull your front leg straight. Relax your head and neck. Hug that right hip back. Pull the belly tight. Breathe in and out your nose. Then as you're ready, rebend the knee. Think cobra, up dog in your shoulders. Pull your belly to the spine, drive your left heel back, and then try to reach both arms forward, palms face each other. Same shape we took earlier. But this time you're going to slowly draw the hands to heart center. Imagine I had a string pulling the crown of your head so far forward that by nature that back foot lifts up, warrior three. Flex the back foot, spin or lift the inner left thigh towards the ceiling, hug your outer right hip back. Cobra, up dog in your shoulders, but don't let your front ribs pop out, knit them in. If the hands need to stay as they are, they can. They could reach back, they could reach forward, but breathe. And then as you're ready, just bend your standing leg as deep as you can and pause. Gently set your left foot next to right, reach up to the sky, chair pose. Oh, you should feel this in your right leg. Yes, sort of. Inhale, press up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, chair, hips go low, arms reach high. Pulling the hands to heart center, leaning your chest forward. Shift the weight into your right foot, pull the belly to the spine, and you're going to slowly kick your left leg back. Warrior three with that bent standing leg. Hover the foot just for a moment. And then gently step your left foot back, reach up, crescent pose. Take an inhale. Exhale, warrior two, blossom open. So your front heel can line up at the center of the back arch. That's very traditional. I prefer heel to heel because I am tight in my hips and it gives me a little bit more space. Just make sure your back toes, they do turn slightly forward, at least 10 degrees. Same thing as warrior one, but not as dramatic. Inner left thigh and the back leg is wrapping back to help anchor your left femur bone into the pelvis. Once your pelvis is anchored and neutral, now the right hip can open safely. Draw the inner right thigh forward, get the knee to the stack with the ankle, and then push it out to the right. Knit the front ribs in, pull the lower belly in and up. Draw the arms further apart. Focus over your front hand, and then just close your eyes. We're going to let this pose cultivate. It's like a cold brew. The longer you let it sit, the better it is. Or something like that. Maybe sink a little lower. Lift that front hip a little higher. Stop making up stories as how you're going to fight me in your mind. And then blink your eyes open, take an inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Step your right foot back, chaturanga, lower slow. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, go ahead and pedal out the feet. Notice the difference in the two sides of the body. Then as you're ready, we'll inhale the left leg up and back. Flex the foot, square off the hips. Exhale, knee down and over to the right, we twist. Inhale, stretch it high. Exhale to the right. And inhale, stretch it back on your own, breath per movement. Three-legged dog to the right elbow. And remember, if you want the extra challenge, you keep your hips low and you just go to a three-legged plank. General rule is what you did on one side, try to do it on the other. But don't lose your breath because of it. With an inhale, we'll stretch the leg up. Exhale, knee to chest, look forward to step forward. Stay on the back toes, inhale, crescent pose, we rise. So the back knee bends enough that we can neutralize the pelvis. If you pull your back heel forward enough that it actually stacks with the ball mount of your foot, it will release the excess tension in the front of the hip, which then allows you to mobilize your pelvis. Draw the tailbone down, but don't overdo it so you're rounding the lower back. You still want that natural sway. Once you have that, pull the belly tight and then work the inner thighs away from each other. Think a nice side split. Think Tadasana, from your hips to your fingertips. And then as you're ready, we pull the hands to heart center, leaning the chest halfway forward, drive into the right heel and twist right elbow to the outside of that left leg. Right heel pushes back, right thigh bone lifts. Stacking the elbows so you can press the palms. You might fly your arms. You might just play with looking up. That changes the pose or the dynamic of it greatly. Check in with your breath. Notice the parts of your body that's fighting it. Generally the little muscles in your face, like you just ate a Carolina Reaper pepper. And then with an inhale, crescent pose, rise. Ugh. Take an inhale. Exhale, pull the hands down to the mat. Front leg goes straight. We relax the head and neck. Finding a little release. Draw that left hip back. Pull the belly tight. And then as you're ready, you'll re-bend the knee. Think cobra up dog in your shoulders. High plank in that back leg. Pull the belly tight as you reach your arms forward. So suspending the torso, waking up that left glute, the hamstring if they weren't awake already. And keeping the chest where it is, hands to heart center. Do not propel. The back knee should not bend. It's leaning forward like a teeter-totter. Lean so far forward the back foot lifts up. Warrior three. Beautiful. Flex that back foot. Spin the outer right hip down as you hug your outer left hip back. Lower belly pulls in, supporting the spine. Cobra up dog to the shoulders. Arms extend back, they extend forward, or they stay exactly as they are. Breathe. Now wherever you're at, you're going to bend your standing leg as deep as you can. Gently, right foot next to left, chair pose, lift your chest, reach up, keep the hips down. And then inhale, press up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Ooh. Inhale, straight back into chair, hips go down, arms reach up. Pulling the hands to heart center. Leaning the chest halfway forward. Maybe you sit the hips a little lower, pull the belly deeper, shift the weight into the left foot, and then shoot the right leg back. Hover the heel up. Try to lift it higher than you think you have to. Feel that glute turn on. And then step your right foot back, land on the toes, reach up, crescent pose. Take an inhale. Exhale, warrior two. We open it up. But only the front hip opens, right? That back leg, you want to think Tadasana. So that right hip, it veers slightly forward, not as dramatic as warrior one. Your pelvis does not square off to the side of the room. It is your torso. So knit the ribs and draw the right side ribs in line with the left. Make sure the front knee is drawing to the center of the ankle and you're pushing it out to the left. Your arms spread apart. You can focus over your front hand. You could look the same direction as your chest, but whatever direction your head is looking, I actually want you to close your eyes and we will sit. Noticing, remember, calling your attention to if you're just collapsing into this. As yogis, we tend to allow the front hip to just collapse because it's flexible, it's open. So I want you to let the left thigh work its way down and forward as you think of lifting the left hip up. As you draw the tailbone in, you should feel an opening and a strength within the hip, not pinching and sinking. Breathe. And then blink your eyes open. Take an inhale. Exhale, windmill the hands down, step back, lower slow, chaturanga. Inhale brings your back bend, and exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Hold this breath at the very top. Open up the mouth. This one is going to be more like a horse's breath. You'll paddle your lips together. Take a deep inhale through the nose to hold. And then just breathe. In and out your nose. And then go ahead and slowly drop to your knees. Cross one ankle over the other, sit back behind your feet. Bring your legs out in front of you. Wipe off your sweat. Find your sit bones. Grab the cushion, aka a butt cheek, pull it back, do the same thing to both sides. Now we're going to go into Janu Sirsasana, so I want you to bring the sole of your right foot into your inner left thigh and allow your knee to flop open. So if your knee doesn't touch the mat, you can use a pillow, a block, or a bolster. If it's just nearly on the mat, maybe you use a roll-up towel, but you do want the knee to anchor down. Now cup the earth with both hands on either side of your leg. Kind of catty turn your torso towards your left foot. Lift through the lower back. Keep that lift in the lower back, but exhale, tuck your chin. Round the cervical spine. That's going to force your thoracic spine to do the same thing. And then round into your lower back without letting your tailbone roll under the pose. And once you can't get any more round, walk your hands down towards the outer ankle. Now just as far as you can until you find your edge. And if your forehead does not touch your shin or thigh or knee, for most of us it will not, stack blocks. Generally, if it doesn't touch the leg, they're going to be inside. If you're further down past the knee, they could be outside. It just depends on the flexibility. This is a slight twist of the spine. Feel the right knee. You want it to be anchoring down and back. The belly pulling in to support the rounding of the spine. The arms allow them to get heavy to draw the shoulder blades towards the side body. Releasing all the muscles that normally have to hold them within the back. Let your front foot soften. Relax your jaw. So with the first pose, we're using it to transition again. Just like child's pose, we're using it to transition from the busyness of day-to-day life to paying attention to the body, how it's feeling, maybe what it needs. The state of the mind. And then we use that vinyasa portion of class, or that intensity of the class, learning the alignment, being aware of what muscles to engage, what should be passive. But that movement of going from one pose to the next, we use that as we're very much in our comfort zone still, but to become a little bit more present. We're working our way into the body. So now the first pose in our yin practice is meant to be a secondary transition. We're still going to be working within the body, but we're going to begin to delve a little bit deeper. So the physical sensations won't necessarily be as much. I do still want you to be aware if you just sink into your space that your body already has. So if you're super bendy, I want you to do a little bit less physically. Like in something like this, rather than laying all the way over your leg, maybe do put a bolster or a block underneath your chest. You actually create a slight rounding in the spine. And for most yogis, it is the mental challenge of switching gears or letting go, not permanently, but just for the next 28 minutes, what we've been taught pretty much in every other style of yoga, and applying something new. Approaching the same poses but with a different mindset. And that first transition can be very challenging, but generally, after the first pose, we kind of get into the rhythm of being okay with sitting still. Unless you are newer to the practice, sometimes it's the opposite. The more you do this, the harder it can get as we go along. Just because stillness tends to be something we resist a lot. So when we worked our way in, we started from the top of the spine and rounded down. So I want you to reverse that. We're balancing it out, the yin and the yang. On an exhale, you're going to pull the belly in and begin to roll your spine up from the bottom to the top. So just gently articulate, feel every vertebrae stack on one another, as a result pulling the very next one on top of the other until you're completely upright. Take your right hand to the outside of your knee, use your hand to lift it up and slowly slide the leg forward. You could wag the leg, woggle, wag, wiggle, shake, popcorn your knee a little bit. But as you feel ready, you'll bring the sole of your left foot to the inner right thigh. Knee falls open. And remember, the knee should be grounded. Generally speaking, especially in the hips, it's super noticeable. We have one side that's more flexible than the other. So you may need a prop in one side, you may not need it in the other. And then cupping the earth with the fingertips on either sides of your right leg. From the top down, chin to chest, rounding your spine as much as you can. Imagine you're actually trying to get your forehead to touch your pubic bone. And then once you can't do that anymore, you crawl your hands forward. As far forward as you can without getting to the point of resistance. So you don't want to get to this place where your body begins to tense or tighten, resisting what it is that you're doing. Or you don't want to feel that place, as teachers often say, where your muscles are screaming at you. You get this super deep sensation of a stretch that your body is literally asking you not to go any further. If you've reached that point, you've gone too far for your yin practice. Just because of the amount of time that we sit here for. If you go all out right out the gate, sitting for the 4 minutes that we do almost becomes brutal. the physical sensation is going to become too much that you have no choice but to come out. So instead, do a little less. Find a place where you still find some physical sensation, but just enough that you can then sit with it. Get still with it. Be okay with it. Just begin to notice if the mind is getting anxious or is way beyond that point. Notice the internal dialogue that has been created by what you're doing. Notice if the dialogue is actually coming from off the mat. As that is very much a possibility because the fact that we're physically sitting still. We don't have that constant movement to meditate on, nor do we have the muscle engagement and alignment to focus on. The mind has this ability to wander and jump from one topic to the next. Try to pull yourself back in. As you're ready, on an exhale, you'll slowly roll your spine up. Vertebrae by vertebrae, taking your time. You can remove the props and then lift the left knee up with your left hand, slide it out in front of you. Shake the leg around, maybe popcorn the knee gently up and down. And then we are going to go into a version of supported Matsyasana with a fish pose, but today we're going to add a hip opener. So bring your legs into Sukhasana or crisscross applesauce. You'll bend the knees, crossing at the shins, feet flop or knees flop open. And then that block that's going to be in between the shoulder blades, because of the seated position, will probably have to be on the tallest level, about 6 to 8 inches behind your hips. Use your hands behind you to slowly work your way over the block. Lay back. The second block probably for most people will be the same level. If you know you're a little bit more bendy, you could put it on a level lower. And then just open your arms out to the sides, palms face up. If you want a cactus arm or grab your elbows over your head, that'll be up to you. But just getting maybe a deeper thoracic back bend. Still releasing and opening the hips. If you find yourself with the knees and feet almost lifting up to go back with you, maybe just bring your feet into Supta Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. But eventually you'll see people take this into Padmasana or the lotus pose where the feet are up on the hips eventually. And some people lay all the way back, resting the crown of their head on the earth. But just because of the duration of time that we're sitting here, if you do normally take that version of Matsyasana in your practice, I'm going to ask you to stick with blocks under your shoulders. And maybe you don't use the second block and the crown of the head does touch the ground, but I don't want to put a ton of pressure and weight in the cervical spine just because we do sit here longer than 30 or even 60 seconds. So you're not going to have to come off the blocks. You're going to continue to lay over them as you are, but go ahead and just slowly switch the cross in your legs. Whatever leg is in front goes behind, trying to get the feet towards those knees. Maybe noticing how, although we are working within the thoracic spine predominantly, that having your hips in this external rotation, it kind of crowds your sacrum. That's why within most of our back bends, it's always done from a place where our femur bones are neutrally situated within the pelvis. Because when we actually neutralize them or even internally rotate them, it actually gives the sacrum and the lower back some space. So externally rotating the hips and taking a back bend crowds the sacrum and even the lower back, which is in yin a good thing because we are trying to create a little bit of compression, which then builds stimulation. So as long as you're not feeling any sharp pains, that compression almost feels like something is swelling or building is a good thing. Take a few more deep breaths. And And just because of the height of the blocks, I do want you to bend your elbows and plant your hands behind your hips. Generally, fingers pointing forward towards your hips is easiest, but planting the hands in the mat. So you can then push into your hands, tuck your chin into the chest, and slowly come off the blocks. Once you're up, you can remove the blocks from behind you. Take your hands to the outer knees, bring your feet flat on the floor. Grab the backs of your thighs and just gently roll down until you're flat on the spine. Savasana, however you need it. So if you need to set up props under your thighs, or you want to find a particular shape, be my guest. Don't rush the process. But eventually, arms fall open. Palms face up. The feet get heavy, as do the outer edges of your legs. You release the hinge of the jaw. You soften the space between your eyebrows. The little muscles at the base of your skull, behind your ears. Creating softness where we don't even notice that we're holding a rigidness. And then within this softness, no longer having to worry about the body because of what it's doing. Even stepping past the windows of the mind. I'm just trying to get in touch with yourself, checking in on a very deep level. This is it. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we humans, we tend to be creatures of habit. And a very common problem I find is that we bring those habits into yoga, right? As I said in the beginning, we have this habit of always doing what's easy or falling into what is easy, depending on our flexibility when we should be focusing on giving our body a little strength, or maybe depending on our strength when we should be depending on our flexibility. But on a much deeper level, it is always easy to fall into habits that may not be the best for us. It is easy to go about life the way we've always done it because we've always done it that way. And what the practice of yin is really meant to show us or teach us, and not just yin, but even asana in itself, is that if we don't get ourselves to this place where we're actually very much challenged by discomfort, then we don't actually grow. That we are actually adding to the problem. Physically speaking, if we continually lean on our flexibility, over time that causes injury. And so when it comes to our day-to-day life off the mat, we have to begin to kind of take a back seat and check in with how we're living our life, one thing to the next, and just see if we're falling into the habit of what's comfortable, or if we are allowing ourselves to be challenged, facing discomfort, and then making changes to go about fixing that. As cliche as it may sound, if you are comfortable, you're not growing. So just one of those lessons that practicing here on the mat is meant to permeate off the mat. And sometimes it's easier to see the physical results before we can begin to dig deeper into the way our mind sits and has developed, facing emotions. But it's all necessary for growth. And growth and change come hand in hand. So please feel free to lay here in Savasana for however long you would like. If you have to get up and go, do so slowly. Just remember that this is something ideally you take with you off the mat. But on that note, namaste.